The three contented villages of King's Somborne, Little Somborne and Up Somborne nestle in the Downs beside the great River Test, close below Stockbridge in the county of Hampshire. Fishermen come to this famous chalk water to worship and to pursue the wild brown trout. Country lovers come to walk the Test Way, to enjoy the local pubs and to drink in the views and the scenery. And city slickers, tired of commuting, come in search of their dream cottage as well as of peace and contentment. In July, this is country to savour and to admire. Cattle and sheep are lazy in the water meadows. The hush before harvest lies over the rolling wheat and barley fields. The river drifts on its way towards Romsey and the sea at the top of Southampton Water, and all seems for the best in the best of all possible worlds. Charlie Reeves' grandfather ran the bakery in King's Somborne, and the family name goes back through the generations in the villages. At 84, and straight of back and strong of limb, Charlie still works every day in his old shed on the top of Cowdrove Hill, where he services and mends machinery and tools.
Well, I learnt my workshop skills partly by working for other people and partly by trial and error. I seem to have engineering born into me, sort of thing, like some people do. I've always worked in such a way with my own ideas, rather than from a book. Most of it's old, yeah. The machine tools are the newest part of it, really, you know, and gauges and measuring instruments and all that kind of thing. But the machines themselves are quite old, yes, but they still do a good job. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much indeed. What can I do? Hold on to this?
Yes, hold on to it.
Sure. Charlie's pride and joy is his 1917 steam engine, Wilbur, which he takes each year to the Great Dorset Steam Fair, and exercises sometimes along the ridge of Cowdrove Hill, with majestic views on either side across the Sombornes, the Test Valley, and the Hampshire Downs.
I bought it in 1958. I used it for about 10 years just as it was, and I was getting trouble with the tubes and things, so I started major repair on it. And that took a matter of 10 years, I believe, something like that. When I was a boy, we used to play marbles, hopscotch, and the rest of it right in the main street. That's how little traffic there was about. You see, just horses and carts, really. They were better days than they are now. I mean, today it's all rush and tear, and for what? I mean, that's half the trouble of the world. We've gone too fast, and now we've got to slow up.
Beryl Geary lives close to the church in King's Somborne. She was village postwoman for many years, and as a result knows everyone in the neighbourhood. Old habits die hard, so Beryl still cycles round the streets she knows so well, but with her dog Pepe on board instead of loads of parcels and letters.
I started postwork during the war in 1942, and I can't drive, so I had a bicycle. I used to cycle 10 to 12 miles a day, and during the war I used to see the bombs dropping on the daylight raids on Portsmouth and Southampton. When I'm on my bike, we go up to the horses and we give them some tidbits and that. Every day we do that. And the grey one, of course, she's special. She's my granddaughter. She rides her. You stay there. All right. All right, then. There. That's yours. Peppy, I've had her about 4 years, and she was dumped out of a car down at Horsebridge, and she was running around there for about 3 weeks, so I gave her a temporary home, and she's still here. I've only got to go in and pick up the box to put on the bike, and she nearly goes mad to get up in that box and go for a ride every day. Barb! I brought your telephone book for you.
Lovely, thank
I thought I'd save them.
Yes,
And
that's lovely,
Can
thanks.
I make an appointment, have my hair done next Thursday?
Sure. That'd be fine. Can you going to look in and...
Yeah, I'll look in
Make
the
a
morning
time.
when I comes up there with the dog.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, bye. It was a bitter cold day in the winter when the river was running through the village then. I propped my bike up against a little bridge that went across to this house, and the letter slipped down into the river. And I couldn't get into the river because it was too deep. So I had to run down the road to the old chapel, get in the river there, and wait for the letters to come down the river.
Bye-bye then.
Bye.
Bye. Hello, Beryl.
Hello. I brought your telephone book.
Oh, good. I hope they got my name in this time.
Yeah, it didn't last time, did they?
No.
Cyril was the grave digger here. Well, then he had a heart attack and he had to retire, but he's always been interested in bees. He's got 26 hives, and I help him with them.
Yeah, all being if the weather's right.
Yeah.
So we want to get 5 or 6 supers off, about 6 of them there.
Yeah. I love the countryside. It's so rural, you know, all the animals and everything. I don't think I'd want to live anywhere else. I know I've got so many friends here. Yeah.
At the end of the war, there were 30 hurdle makers in the Somborne villages. Today, there are 2. One of them is Peter Cuff from up Somborne, who sometimes works the woods at Hooper's Bottom. Although he loves the area and always returns to work there, Peter is also an adventurer. He's just come back from a journey through China. When he's saved enough, his next plan is to head for the Himalayas.
Well, I've worked on the land all my life, on and off. I was a mechanic to start with, and then I went to farming, and that got too industrial, if you like, you know, chemicals and fertilisers, and I couldn't stand it. And I've always wanted to work in the woods, because there's nothing better than working in the woods. You know, it's like, I suppose you'd say, sort of paradise, really. Quiet, peaceful, you're with nature. It's just out of this world, this thing is, you know, it's really nice. And the old men over the years would say, no, we don't want to teach you, and their excuse was they didn't want too many people coming along taking the trade away from them, which is, you know, bizarre really, because I mean there's acres and acres of wood at the time. So I just come here and more or less self-taught, but I went round the old men and watched them and secretly sort of spied on them, if you like, and got on very well. But it took 2 years really of concentrating work to get a nice hurdle going. A certain amount of feeling for wood. You must have the feeling for wood. I've trained around about 5 people, and 1 or 2 of them actually just couldn't do it. I mean, they'd done it to a certain standard, but the standard wasn't really good enough because they didn't have the feel. You have to have a feel for it, like a carpenter or a mechanic or any of those sort of things where it's a natural feeling for these jobs. Oh, said it's a bit of a joke. You've got to have sort of sap in your blood, really, to be a good hurdle maker, or even a woodman, spar making in any of the old wood crafts. Love of it, I suppose. That's another thing. To be in the open on your own, fight all the weathers, hot, cold. The winter's the worst, but I like winter myself. I prefer the cold weather. You can light a fire and wrap up well. But when the hot weather comes, the gnats and whatever, it can sort of put you off a bit. Once you've established your little area, you're part of the wood, and you have all kinds of visitors. Like the squirrel comes along and gathers its nuts, and he's within yards of you. It really is. It's marvellous. And people say, "Aren't you lonely up in the wood?" I said, "No, I've got all my friends. They don't argue with me. They don't have any trouble. They don't answer me back." I said, "It's just lovely."
Farm workers never seem to give up. Jim Newell has worked at New Farm, King Somborne, for nearly 40 years, and although he has in theory retired, he still finds plenty to do around the place, helping his wife Olive with the chickens, keeping the pigeon and rabbit population down, or lending a hand with the harvest.
I was born in King Somborne, and my grandparents and my mother all was born in the village. And I was born in the house was, and then married in the house. I only had one move ever since I got married. You've got to be a jack of all trades on a farm. If you're a factory man, you've got one nut and bolt to do up. But this morning you might be driving a combine, this afternoon you might be baling, tomorrow you might be ploughing. I mean, the day of the old village idiot on a farm is completely gone. I like my own company. I'd sooner be on my own than I would with a lot of people. So I hate the towns. I even won't go shopping. The wife would tell you that anyhow. No, I just don't like towns anyhow. A friend of mine, boss, had this dog, and he didn't like her very much. So one day my mate brought the dog down to me, and that's how I come with her. It's the best dog I've ever had in my life. She's a good companion, good gun dog, good friend of the kids. Don't have to worry about getting bit with it or anything.
Hey.
Oh, we've got some pheasant poults on the farm, and hopefully they're going to live long enough to about next December, I suppose. We'll have a bang at them, I suppose. Well, the boss will, not me, and his friends. I'm only a part-time, just a hobby gamekeeper. Not people say that I'm a gamekeeper, but I'm not. Because I just do it just for something to do. Well, I think it's going to be quite a good harvest at the moment. It looks like that way. Want some sunshine for about a month now, I suppose. And as from next year, we got a chopper. We got no more straw burning. So he's bought a straw chopper to go on behind his combine. Now I just go around the outside bells outside the straw for him. Do a bit of corn cart. That's my job now. Well, I plan to stay here all the rest of my life. I'm nearly the end of my day now, so I don't think I should move out of King Somborne anyhow. I've been quite happy here for the last 66 years, so why move now? Why you're enjoying yourself?
Everyone in the villages seems to know Tabby Oram, who lives in a remote gardener's cottage in Little Somborne. He spent 25 years working on the coal carts and was also a farm labourer. Today, he gardens and does odd jobs for local people.
Generally, I'm in bed by 6:30, 7:15, and then I'm up 4:30, 4:45 in the morning. And then I like to get out in the garden early, especially in the summertime, by 6 o'clock. Come on, Lucy. Come on, Liz. Come on, Liz. The geese, I had them about 20 years or more now. And when they was about 4 years old, I had a gander, and the gander used to chase us round the path, and everybody used to come in. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Well, the kindling wood, I chops up the kindling wood in the winter time when it's wet and that. I can't go out, and it gives me like something to do. And I chopped it up, and I bagged it up in these large freezer bags, and I've sold it to the post office and that to £1 like 25 a bag, like with 5 in. I've been up Little Somborne now 26 years living, and nearly every day I'm biking backwards and forwards down to the village. I goes gardening for about 6 like people, and there's all the odd jobs in that form. Vegetable garden, borders, digging up old ground and make them into lawns and that form. When I used to go to school, the schoolmaster, he used to send me up the gardens. I used to do like double digging and that for him. He was very pleased with me, and I was better doing that than I was doing any lessons at school. When I finish work in the morning, I goes down the Crown on my bike about 12 o'clock, and I stop there to 1, and I have like 2 pints, and it does me good.
Although Henry Klein has lived in King Somborne for nearly 20 years, he's come here from John O'Groats, about as big a distance as you can travel in this island. Henry still carries his native Scotland in his voice, but he's loyal to Hampshire. In spite of having no land, he has a flock of more than 60 different breeds of sheep, all modelled with consummate skill from clay. One of his neighbours owns a small bunch of Shetland sheep, which Henry goes and sketches from time to time.
Well, I'm just lucky to have the Somborne Shetlands so near, because the original sheep is 800 miles away. So it's nice to have such unusual sheep on my doorstep. And they're very convenient to draw, and they're nice and friendly, and well, it's a breath of home as well, or almost anyway. I retired early, and the first thing I did was made my nest, as it were. I designed the garden and made that so that it wouldn't bother me, so that I could get on with something else. And in the meantime, someone knowing that I was interested in sheep sent me an amazing postcard of Wensleydale, which is an extraordinary looking sheep for a start. And I vowed that I would make her a model of the sheep, and I started on that. And then I thought I could make more of these, so I started, and it just took off from there. And since I really like sheep, I thought that it seemed to be something I could enjoy doing, and something that people would like. I went to Japan for 6 weeks on a ceramic course. So the techniques I use are most elementary. They're about 4,000 years old. They just have to be used carefully. I would have thought that very few people actually recognize the breed of sheep that they pass on the road. In fact, I think sheep are not usually noticed much until it's lambing time. Then they notice the lambs in the field, and then everybody's interested. And then they're forgotten, I suppose, for the rest of the year. Yeah, I think he's cool enough where he ought to be. He's a North Country Cheviot. From start to finish, about a week to 10 days, depending on drying time. I'm a North Country Cheviot as well. Since I started on sheep, everything else seems to have faded into the background. It's marvellous to be making something that people actually want.
The motorway from London brings tens of thousands of motor cars down into Hampshire every weekend. Close to the north lies the main road carrying travellers to the West Country. So it's miraculous that any of this soft downland and river country is as unspoiled as it still is today. William Cobbett came this way on one of his rural rides in 1825 and would recognise much that remains. He wrote, "It's for the greater part an open corn and sheep country, a considerable part of the lands being downs. The wheat and rye and vetch fields look beautiful here, and during the whole of the way the turnips of both kinds are not bad, and the stubble turnips very promising. The downs are as green as meadows usually are, and the grass is most abundant in all situations where grass grows."
Cheers. Cheers, this is stuff what does me good.